Hello and welcome to Note to File, a clinical research podcast.
A collection of interviews, candid commentary, and general nonsense for the clinical research community.
Check us out at notetofilepodcast.com.
And now, without further ado, on to the show.
Hey guys, welcome to another Note to File on a lovely Thursday afternoon or morning, depending on where you're at, I guess.
Or evening.
Sure. I mean, we have listeners all over the world.
Happy
international.
A lovely just call it a lovely Thursday across the board.
Okay,
morning,
fine.
Afternoon, evening, night.
Fair enough. Today is April 16th. A lot of days. It's a lot of days today. Just like I feel like just like Tuesday. Today's
Tuesday,
International Documentary Day.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Have you watched any good ones recently?
I did just watch one about, it was on Netflix. It was about the dude in the Mormon church who took over for Warren Jeffs, basically. It's pretty good. I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of the top 5 things on Netflix over the last week. What about you?
I actually haven't watched anything super recently. I watched them you go down the rabbit hole of the list of recommended documentaries on whatever their subcategory is. It's an older one that I watched, but it was about Abercrombie and Fitch and about their hiring practices, it's about some of the controversy that they've had over the years, which is, it's fascinating. It's a brand that's been around forever. My mom had it when she was a little girl. Abercrombie and Fitch was fancy jackets from New York City, which changed obviously. In the 2000s was the it store in the mall.
Very
but
cool.
They talked about hiring practices and different grooming of models and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard about that before. Yeah, okay, I'm a big documentary guy. In the comments, tell us a good documentary to watch.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I watched a lot of I like true crime. A lot of the true crime stuff. I know that not everybody's cup of tea, but since I was a kid, I loved forensic files and all that stuff. So any true crime documentaries, totally into.
I've watched. What's the one? Kind of in that vein. Don't fuck with cats.
Yeah. That's I
think that one's just a funny mix of true crime, but also the world of the internet and
internet sleuths who try to solve
and the community and stuff that happens over on that. I don't know. It's really disturbing in content as far as the actual crimes involved in that one, but
right.
Interesting concept, interesting take.
Today is also National Eggs Benedict Day.
I love Eggs Benedict.
I was going to say, I'm a big fan of that. It's wear your pajamas to work day, apparently.
You mean every day that I work from home?
Well, yeah. If you get to work from home, then, good for you.
The one of the main perks of working from home is not having to put real pants on.
Fair point. Teen Literature Day. So,
okay.
I don't know if that means
the Twilight
of
the world.
Yeah, right.
I imagine the young adult fiction books,
yeah.
The Hunger Game series and Twilight. That's where my brain goes. I don't know. I assume it's not teen authors, more literature for teens.
You don't know that?
I don't.
It
was an
both.
assumption. What does it say? What does it say on your screen?
Celebrate Teen Literature Day is observed every Thursday of the second complete week in April.
Jesus Christ.
It's to remind everyone, especially teens, to read.
That's a weak fucking day.
That's pretty much the bulk of it.
Jesus, that's dumb.
Then it goes on to talk about, whoever, this is written by AI, talks about the history of writing from Sumerian, Egyptian hieroglyphics. Like we don't need to talk about cuneiform during National Teen Literature Day.
Different day.
You know, your kids should read. Kids, read a book. You know,
literacy is good.
I don't know. That's why we have TikTok and AI for. We don't have to read anything.
Jesus. It's also day after tax day. Did you do your taxes?
I'm a sovereign citizen, and I refuse to do my taxes. I'm just kidding. IRS thing. I'm just kidding. I definitely did my. Please don't cart me away. Yeah, I did. I also noticed a bunch of hilarious influx of posts on LinkedIn from research companies that are like, "We had our best quarter ever," and then the next post I see is like, 3 people laid off from that company. So it's hard to know.
Books work.
I mean, I'm just saying, I saw at least 3 or 4 different companies in our field talk about we had a 50% increase in revenue from Q1 2020. I'm like, nobody cares. You're just like a private company. Like,
do you think that's related to tax day? Do you think so?
It's weird. I mean, I would have to think it would be.
Why else would look at this? We have no idea. I did my taxes, and I'm like, oh, look at this. We did good.
Well, yeah. I mean, ideally, you probably know that before tax day, but I don't know. Maybe they got.
Well, why did it come out now?
Maybe it just seems like the most appropriate. It's the end of Q1, and a couple of weeks passed, I guess, and people's taxes are being done. I don't know. I just found it odd that it was in my timeline so prominently, which leads me to definitely believe that that's true, because if you say it on LinkedIn, it must be true.
No, that's the internet at large, right?
Yeah, you can't lie on the internet.
Can't.
Something else I saw is some talk about sites and bring your own tech stuff we've talked about recently. Man, I'm almost to the point now where I just think sites should just stay on paper. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay. Explain.
There's almost, and this is also like stuff I'm dealing with like some of the eSource, and it just occurs to me that there's, for most smaller sites, I consider myself still relatively small. We may not have more than, especially now, there were a time when we had up to maybe close to 100 studies, but as we pare back and get more particular, smaller, maybe between 30 to 50 studies, maybe less than that, depending on what's going on at any given moment. I don't think it really even necessarily makes sense. If you're small and you're in one geographic area, you're not generally being paid significantly more to use electronics, to use an electronic system. Maybe you can score a little bit of money. It's a pain in the ass to set it up and build it one-to-one according to how the sponsor wants it done. I already say Edie saying no, and even I'm not sure. I don't know what she's referring to, how far the lag is in these things.
I'm assuming.
Okay, just shut your mouth, but also I do understand. Dude. And look, I don't know if I'm serious right now, but so bear with me. Sometimes I'm playing. I'm not done yet. Quiet. And then at this point, especially if you read an Edie and your input, with revision 3 to ICH, blah, 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 it seems to demand even more oversight from sites in terms of security and validation of electronic systems, which seems to me just is putting more risk onto the sites for using systems that they want to use. We work with sponsors who don't want us to use eConsent or don't even want us to use eSource, especially some of the smaller companies. Yeah, it's a lot less, it's harder to fix. There's just a lot of things that still don't really provide a whole lot of benefit at this point. Paper. Great comment, Edie. Paper. I'm assuming that means you're so in support of being on paper. So thank you for your thank you for your vote.
I clearly disagree mostly. Caveat.
You have to.
I mean,
You're forced to disagree as
I
somebody who
wouldn't
works
work
for
in
a
the
tech company.
career that I do if I fully agreed, right? Like I've spent pretty much my entire career in
Yeah, well, that's
clinical research site
pointless. Your whole
technology.
career is pointless because
The
it should
fuck
be
was I
paper
doing?
only.
I should go into paper manufacturing and
Exactly.
printers. Um, it is interesting though, because I was thinking about this actually the other day. And like there are situations where I was like, you talking to sites and like, well, paper's easier. It's like, yeah, you know what? For you, it might be. Right? Like for like the day-to-day operations, you're running 5 trials. For you as a site independently, paper makes the most sense. However, sites also don't operate you independently as a site. Like your whole function as a site is to serve the groups that you're running trials for. Right?
Who specifically?
You as a site.
Yeah. I'm saying who serve who.
You're supposed to like you're doing the work for the sponsors, for the pharma companies.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And
right.
like it is easier from a digital perspective for sponsors to have sites be digital. I get that. It makes sense.
I'm not sure that's true.
Really?
True.
Monitoring?
They
monitor.
So
well,
you have
that's a different issue. That's them being
yes
inefficient.
And no. So that's what I'm saying. There's 2 sides of it. One is that they still come on site to monitor. So that's not providing any benefit to the sponsors. In fact, they're wasting more money. And then the flip side of it is I've got other sponsors who want to have continuous monitoring open to them at all times, which conceptually I'm not against the idea, but the problem is at that point you're basically in a never-ending monitor visit and you're not being compensated for constantly answering random queries that may or may not, the nice thing about a monitor visit, and again, this is I hate that I'm like taking this stance because I don't agree. I don't really agree with it. Like ideally, a monitor visit's nice because there's like it's 2 days. There's like a end and a beginning and an end, to be more accurate. So you're not constantly having to fix things all the time, although you should be. I mean, you should be, making corrections and fixing things. And ideally, we do live in a world where like everything is happening in real time. Like, and I'll caveat all this to say, like, once there is like, some standards and some true adoption and like it all lines up, it does make more sense for everything to be electronic. But to your point earlier, like no sponsor is coming to me and saying like, please do everything electronically. They don't care. They don't seem to care one way or the other.
But sometimes they do though. And this is where it's a challenge where like their motivation for wanting sites to be electronic is one. And then obviously I think there is true benefit for sites to go electronic too, from a scalability, consistency perspective. You're on a CTMS and your budget and your schedule of events and your coverage analysis, should you be doing that, and your participant schedules are all on aligned versions, and you can keep track of expiring documentation and things that need reconsent. So from a compliance and consistency and quality standard, there's a ton of benefit for going digital, especially as you scale, because some of this, like to Edie's point, right? Like I do actually agree, really small sites in their infancy, right? Like it's a lot easier. You're running a trial or two. You're going to have a lot more just like oversight and insight into what's expiring, what's on what version. Like it's a lot easier when it's a lot smaller. But I would argue even at the scale, like you get to you're starting to run multitudes of tens of trials. Like it's going to get more complicated. And you also want to scale across different clinics, or like even like efficiencies as far as like having one CV that's uploaded and spread across. Like I think it quickly it makes sense for sites to go electronic. But I do also agree there's some sites where it's like, yeah, just get started and do what you do, because there is the upfront, like the efficiencies come with a lift up front. So there's like it's hard to do that. You have to like source is an interesting one, right? Like you have to build that all and have it, and then you can use it. Whereas just like having the forms, it's there and you just fill it out. So like there is a lift, and there has to be like, where is that point where the lift up front to do all the configuration, the setup, the admin makes sense with the efficiencies that you're getting on the backside. But then I also think then there's sponsors who are pushing for different things too. And it's just like, I don't know. It's a weird misalignment at some level where like, I don't know, sometimes sponsors are pushing for digitalization. Sites are like, I'm good on paper. And then it's like, okay, well, as a tech vendor, if you don't want a technology solution, I don't want you on it. Right? Like, you're not going to be happy. I'm not going to be happy. It does not make sense. So it's just like this weird, I don't know, misalignment. And there are, I mean, there's a fuck ton of sites that are still on paper. Like, what's this?
Yeah, I think that, and again, I feel like we overestimate how many sites are doing things electronically. I think, of course, we only really hear from like the big site networks and idiots on podcasts like us. So I feel like there's like probably a lot of sites who use, who do use paper still to this day.
Well, and even like fraction. I mean, I've visited sites before where like you have this idea of like, oh, even the ones who have all of these systems in place, like it's still such a physical, tangible experience, like being at sites that like hypothetically sitting in my vendor chair, I'm like, oh, you're using this and you're using this and this is makes it so efficient. And you go to a site and you're like, you're using this here and this login is here and this is over here. And it like the experience is not a one-to-one translation of like what the vision is versus the actual experience. And then you throw in sponsor providing site technology and you add a bunch of different layers on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and look to Jonathan's point here. Focus on the problem, not the solution. The primary problem is collecting clean, accurate data in a reliable and efficient way. I mean, so then really is paper you can collect cleanly and accurately, reliably?
Yeah.
Or is there a problem with paper that, again,
I think from a scalability perspective, that changes. I think the accuracy and the reliability and the efficiency of that change with scale. And I think that's the tipping point where it makes sense to digitalize. The question though I have is that like, well, how much of this is also this like this part of the human condition where like we like the status quo. And so like as new technology is introduced, we are less willing to adopt it and we're more comfortable with what we have been doing.
Yeah, but I don't think that's it. Because I can promise you, I would push for, paper source. I still want to use my cell phone. I still want to use every other technology that actually works and is good. And I don't have to, do 3 versions of it. So, I mean, I don't still use I don't still use a CD player.
Okay. However, well, I bet you have a record player. However,
I have a record player, but that's a whole different thing.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like when cell phones first came about, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there was a resistance to technology in general. Like people don't always need to know where I am. I don't want a cell phone. You know what I mean? Like or a car phone. I don't know. Like I think that's a thing.
We are decades behind here.
Past
this isn't like
okay.
This isn't like, oh, computers just came out. Maybe we shouldn't use them. This is like, no, all this stuff has existed. There are like great consumer grade technologies and lots of other aspects of our lives. Like this just hasn't.
So why the fuck are we so behind?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's people will give you a bajillion different reasons. I can't think of a compelling reason, frankly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's partly this, where like we have the technology, but like, well, this is one of my favorite paradigms looking at like anything is like the triangle. You have people, process, and technology. And we have the technology, but we haven't brought the process along with it to use the actual technology. So we're saying like, great, here's this technology, here's computers, here's the systems, but we haven't put any standardization in place. And we haven't put any actual change management in place for it. So the technology is there, but
yeah, and even to take that to the, and that works. That's not all things because it's both technology and process. Like I can work with 5 sponsors and they want 5 different things process wise. They're not willing to say oftentimes like again, depends on all the different, there's a lot of caveats here too. There's a lot of nuance to it, but like at the end of the day, we get paid to do what the sponsor is paying us to do, which is collect the data. And we're going to do that in the way that they're comfortable with and works for them. It's not like I do it however I want and you pay me. I feel like, again, probably sounds sacrilegious coming from a site, but again, the process is different across 5 different sponsors. So we don't agree on technology and we don't agree on process. We've got a mix of all of the things.
So it's the people problem. The people aren't standardizing the process or the technology.
Sure. I'll go with that. I don't know. The whole thing just feels like there are times when I'm like, again, we strive to be all electronic, and I do believe that that's, good for everyone, like, of course. But then there are days where it's just so ridiculously frustrating, like dealing with sponsors who are like, no, you can't use eConsent. I'm like, what do you mean I can't use eConsent?
Is that like an IRB thing?
I did. Wait, I know. Like I went through the whole arguments with people back and forth. Like, and again, to what point do I like, what hill am I going to die on to be like, no, if we don't use eConsent, we're not going to help get drugs to people. Like, what? Like, that's not, I'm not here to use eConsent. I'm here to help, find new medications that might work. And I don't care how that's accomplished. I would ideally want it to be accomplished the easiest way possible for everybody, but that's rarely the same way across all the different things,
But so how, this is the challenge I have though. So like, yes, all sponsors are going to be different. All sites are going to be different. We're going to have variability, but like, this is not a unique situation in the world, right? Like banks, all the banks are different. They work with different people in different regions, but they've figured out how to manage in a standardized way. Airlines, there's multiple different airlines. They have slightly different experiences.
They airlines, but
right, like they work across different countries and in different airports, but they've somehow managed to organize across all of it. So like, why?
And these are regulated industries as well. I mean,
well, I fucking hope so, because I'm putting my ass in the air and I want to make sure it's safe.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't disagree, and I still don't fully understand. Like, why are we so unique and special that we can't also find that level of standardization where we can do things together without it being a freaking nightmare?
Well, I mean, like peeling back the airline one, like who is that? The Department of Transportation, or is that?
I feel like I watched a whole like talk about this at one point.
Maybe a documentary.
A single thing. No, not a documentary. Someone talked about it like ING. I feel like the history of how they all got aligned, but they got aligned on some kind of standardization that ran in the background, which we don't. Well, maybe I guess we
But that's
have,
what I'm saying. What do you mean, like aligned on some standardization?
I don't know.
From who? Because that's the fundamental problem. Like, where it's like you could have all the G17 sponsors each have a big one and they have a big proportion and arguably saying, hey, we've standardized across, but that still doesn't make a consistent experience across the board. So like, where is that? Like you had Delta and American and United and Southwest and whoever the other 5, I think Spirit's going under, but you have like all these other airlines, like who some level have come together and said like, yeah, we're willing to do this. And
I don't know. I'm just going to drive everywhere from now on. No more airplanes.
No, yes, airplanes are doing it right.
Yeah, I mean, fair point.
But I don't know. I think that's a big issue, is the lack of standardization.
Well, Viva's got a bunch of money, so do something about it.
I mean, that's kind of the goal. But again, it can't be. And again, I do think that like it needs to be a combination of things. Like we're never going to be a monopoly. No one sponsor, no one tech vendor is ever going to have a lion's share enough to be like, this is my way or the highway. Like there's always going to be other sponsors, other vendors, other sites. And so like, even though you get the big ones being able to throw their weight around, quite frankly, and you see sites doing this with the larger sites, you see large sponsors doing it, you see large vendors doing it, that still is fragmented regardless.
Sure.
So like, this is where it comes, is like, is there an external, like again, and weirdly, like, is there some sort of governmental global foundation-y type thing that needs to happen to standardize it.
Yeah, they should say everyone just use paper. It's easy.
And they're secretly funded by some
big paper.
Big paper.
I can't name a paper company.
I was gonna say like some forestry something or other, and I was like, well, that's the opposite. That's like the opposite of what would be funding this.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I don't know.
Dunder Mifflin.
It's still, again, frustrating as a site. So,
well, quite honestly, it's frustrating as a tech vendor too, though, because like I could sit down with a site and be like, yes, I truly think that this technology could make your life better. But for some sites, I'm talking to them, and it's like, yeah, maybe this isn't for you because your operations are not at a place where you need this, or you're going to operate differently and it's not a fit for what we're doing. And
yeah.
We have a way that we do it at Viva from our technology. Other vendors do it slightly differently. And like, unless there's a standard way, there's nothing to really lean back on to say like, this is the overarching way. So if you want to do it a different way, you're going to do it a different way. That's fine. We just don't align, but that doesn't solve ultimately the problem of, at a larger industry, the problem that we have.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Why is it my problem? It's your problem.
I mean, it's not specific. Yeah, I can just use paper if I want. Nobody cares. That's my point.
Can you? Do it forever. Could you just use paper?
Yeah, of course. I hate it.
But like, would there be pushback? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, right now, no, absolutely not.
You're telling me if you were going for studies and you're talking to sponsors and you're like, yep, we're a paper shop. We're not going to use the technologies provided.
Well, I mean, I obviously have to use like their EDC and stuff like that. But if I was like, our source and our reg is going to be all
in our budgets and our patients information and schedule.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I guarantee you. I don't know. I'm willing to hear anybody in the audience.
I am fascinated to see
I would love to hear them say that they've seen the opposite. I mean, no one would bat an eye if you're like, nope, we run everything on paper. They'd be like, cool. And in fact, I'd have less checklists to fill out. You got to fill out all these like 21 CFR 11 compliant checklists. You've got to fill out vendor assessment type stuff that goes to the sponsors. It would be less work on the front end.
On the front end.
You know how easy it is to make a Word document and print it?
No,
that's your source. It's pretty easy. I'm just saying, I've not seen anyone. No sponsor's been like, oh, you don't use one of the half dozen random CTMS, your eSource systems that are out there. No, we can't use it. Because again, there's not even like agreement on what people will take. Certainly no one's been like, oh, well, you can use this one, but not that one. So paper is the most standard thing, frankly, that we can agree on.
That's a problem. Because I think to your point, yeah, maybe it's less upfront work, but to all the reasons we talked about earlier, I think there truly is benefit to not just doing paper.
Maybe. Time will tell.
Time has told.
I mean, again, I'd love to see I still need to get Ken Getz back on here. Where's the study about like, show me a site that uses paper and a site that uses electronic systems and give me some metrics. Like,
I can give you some of those metrics. Well, so every company, every tech vendor will give you metrics on it about efficiencies. But to your point, those are also what's the thing about statistics? Like you can make statistics say anything, right? And like most of these are marketing. Fair. I think generally, directionally, they're correct, whether the specifics or not. But to your point, I think the larger scale picture of, hey, using this over paper gives you this much efficiency, but at a more macro scale would be fascinating to see. So like these trials run on paper from A to Z, did they impact approval timelines?
Right.
But then there's also other things like, what metrics would you even look at for success in that regard? Like satisfaction, patient experience, drug to market time, cleanliness data.
That's fair.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
different
true. There's a lot of different people with different interests whose metrics are all going to be, potentially competing. It's at different points.
right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good. It's still. I mean, the fact that it's even still a conversation is fucking stupid. Like,
I mean, it's wild. Like we have computers in our pockets on a daily basis, and we're talking.
I know, but
about
even Edie's comment that even AMC and cancer centers are still using paper at least 50%. I don't doubt that. That's still
although
a really high number.
I would argue AMCs and cancer centers are not necessarily like the pinnacle of innovation and adoption as far as process is concerned. I think anyone in academia would know that, right?
Like, definitely as far as cancer research is concerned, which accounts for most of clinical trials out there, from what I understand, according to,
funding.
volume of trials. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, that's not insignificant. I mean, it's not like you can just go, you're seeing a little bit more, but there's not a lot of private networks that are running large scale cancer programs
for many reasons. Yeah. But I also think these are organizations that they're not known for moving quickly and adopting change.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Right.
Not wrong.
Like these are groups who are very deliberate and bureaucratic in how they adopt change. So they're not necessarily on the forefront of adopting new technologies.
Sure.
Per se. As a holistic category.
Sure. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. All right, well, we didn't solve a single problem. So.
I do think it is interesting, though, to your last point, that like it is 2026. We have computers in our pockets. Like we're going back to like we're doing all of these crazy things technology-wise. And like we're still talking about like, do we use paper in drug development, which is fundamentally like the most innovative type of medical treatment we have because we're discovering new therapies. Seems kind of backwards.
Well, they'll figure it out. Someone will figure it out.
Someone smarter than us.
We'll be retired and
not a high bar.
But... All right. Well, I'm bored. You got anything else?
No, I don't.
Okay.
A week from today. Right. Next week, Thursday.
See y'all next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to Note to File. We're committed to continuing to bring you independent and unfiltered coverage of the clinical trial industry.
We want to talk about what you want to hear. So if you have something on your mind, hit us up at notetofilepodcast.com.